What's up, everybody? This is Craig Stout. Welcome to the AP Laboratory live stream. This is episode 52. We have all three of us back here. The King Ghidorah of Chiefs podcasting. Kent is over here sipping on his...
I'm sorry, what?
His La Croix with his pinky raised with a fresh new haircut back from vacation. Kent, how are we doing, bud?
Oh, just, celebrating the dub over England, whatever.
So, noted soccer fan, Kent Swanson.
Big time.
Over here.
I think it's
major
bandwagon fan. You're just joining me and Craig on the push now.
Yes.
So, I really enjoy the World Cup. Thank you very much. I watch as much World Cup as I possibly can. My day job really doesn't allow me to watch all these matches, so I've had to kind of live vicariously through you guys anyway.
Oddly enough, you send us a lot of DMs from the day job.
Yeah. I do. But I can't watch on terrestrial television.
No.
I'm not watching on terrestrial television either. We got these cool devices that we can put in our pockets now. Called phones.
My television provider is Sling. Sling does not have Fox on it.
I can promise you that if you Google World Cup stream, it will be the first thing that pops up, and it will let you click on it and watch it.
Well, I haven't officially introduced him yet. So, here's my guy. Matty Lane is here. Matt was just talking about Myles Garrett's squats right before we went on the air.
Very loose definition of squats, guys.
Yeah.
Very loose definition.
Matt was throwing some serious shade.
It's impressive to walk out with 675 and gyrate your hips like an approximate 3.5 inches. Like, it is impressive. But let's not call them squats. Like, let's focus on the box jumps.
There's no middle ground with Matt Lane. It's either full on palm tree shade or none at all. There's no middle ground. You just go straight for the kill.
On the fence? It's not fun, Kent. Pick a side.
Kind of hurts a little bit, depending on the style of fence.
But yeah, Myles Garrett's dropping this out there. Well, Bleacher Report's doing it, but this is my thing. It's impressive, but if that's what you're going to put on social media, let's get a good squat. Even if you're not going to go all the way to the ground, that's fine. You're a football player. You don't have to. But let's not just fold in half at the hips and not actually move anywhere. Let's show a little bit of motion if we're going to put it out there in the public.
But yes, the box jumps were impressive. We're all in agreement with that.
Very much.
Yeah.
The box jumps are cool. We're gonna try the box jump action.
I really want Maddie to record the box jump.
I'm not going to be jumping near as high as Myles Garrett did. Let me be very, very clear about that.
What's the smallest box we can get from me?
Shoebox.
Shoebox.
Isn't a floor just one giant box?
No.
With something built on top of it. If you think
we're
about
talking
it.
football players and their athletic feats, I also loved Juan's shade at the NBA dudes running vertical jump.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that as well. Oh, really? We get to take a bunch of steps now? Yeah,
that's cute.
Yeah. That was cute.
Real cute.
Yeah.
Box jumps holding 50s. That's going to the gym next time I make it there.
I've seen video of Maddie running a 3-cone.
Me too.
You've seen part
in a random field.
It was not a field. It was the park next to the local, not even YMCA rec center next door. This thing was full of
This is getting a lot better.
It is.
Frankly.
It is. Hey, Maddie, did you get under 808?
I did, in fact, make it under 808.
There you go. There you
go. I think the good arthritis days I can get there.
I
don't think you can.
Honestly, don't believe it at all.
I'm also not a pass rusher.
No, this is true.
My job doesn't. If my job depended on my 3-cone, I'd be screwed.
Listen, I was just slandering Myles Garrett's squat, and I can't do whatever he just calls that he put out there. I can't do it, and I'm still slandering it. But here's the thing: you've been going in on Jalen Ferguson for months now, claiming that you can beat his 3-cone.
It's true.
That's not the premise of my conversations about Jalen Ferguson. I know for a fact that I've run better than an 8-second 3-cone in my life. Like 100% factual.
How much
I was a pseudo athlete.
How much did you train for the 3-cone?
Me too.
You didn't run significant. You did not run faster than 8:08 if you never trained.
I weighed 176 pounds.
You did not. I've seen you. You did not run.
You have not seen. You have not seen White Lightning.
Listen,
you have seen
White Lightning.
We sat in your basement.
You have not. You have seen
your quarterback comparisons. At no point in time did we come across an athletic quarterback for your comp.
What was Trevor Siemian's 3-cone? Better than 8:08. I give myself I was not a very good college quarterback. I learned from a NFL quarterback, and that's like my claim to being able to talk about football is I really learned a lot from that guy. I was not good.
All right, Kate.
My completion percentage was very low.
To get your 3-cone time down.
Do what?
You have until next year's 3-cone to get your 3-cone time down.
Next year's Super Bowl. You get under 8:08.
Senior Bowl.
Senior Bowl. Got it.
Let's see what kind of advances in medicine for arthritis happened before
Trevor Siemian was scared to run the 3-cone because he knew it'd be after or slower than 8:08.
Prashad. He knew that 8 years later, some bum from Louisiana Tech who can't turn to save his life was going to run an 8.08 second 3-cone and turn into a Kansas City meme.
That's a high Wonderlic right there. Trevor Siemian's smart, guys.
Great. Where is it on the field?
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Are we about ready to get this thing started? This official podcast?
Am I ready? Yeah, I am.
I am looking up Trevor Siemian's pro day real quick.
Oh, we got a couple questions here in the live chat that we can hit. Let's see here. Who wins a 40? Mecole Hardman, Hollywood Brown, or DK Metcalf?
Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
The answer is Hollywood Brown. Mecole's a close second, probably.
Yeah. Well, Mecole and DK ran the same. But, yeah.
I think Mecole probably. Because, if you listen to the Chiefs, Mecole was actually running in the 4.2s, even though he ran a time 4.35.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong.
I was throwing a little shade.
I'm not going to throw shade at that one. Like, I legit believe that he's that fast.
He's fast. He's fast. So is DK.
I'll take Hollywood.
I would take Hollywood.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah. Let's see here. Do you think Chiefs pass rush was elite last year, or was it a correlation of opponents attempting more passes? Pass rush was elite.
Definitely.
The pass rush was elite. Mm-hmm. That's a fact.
You had a top-tier edge rusher. You had a top-tier edge rusher when he needed to be. And then you had a top-tier interior pass rusher with a decent rotation of guys to be the fourth. I think the only...
And Breeland speaks.
No, he wasn't there. The only thing that could even be considered, to even make it better would have just been schematic changes. So,
yeah.
But still, I'm not sure you could get much more production out of the group.
Happy Canada Day to Keith McLean yesterday.
Canada, our home and native land. That's all I got.
That was worth it. It was totally worth it.
I assume it's something about moose. I'm kidding.
We like our moose.
Okay, good. I'm glad somebody else.
Shouldn't it be A Canada instead of O?
It looks.
No.
You can take it up with somebody else.
Why don't you go eat a Tim Hortons? We should all go find a Tim Hortons
right now. I could go for some Timbits.
Actually, I could go for gluten. I'm trying to go gluten free for a little while and see what happens. Although that will change if your trip goes well to Minnesota and you get some.
I didn't realize that. I won't bring it back for you,
Craig.
Yeah,
I will break my diet for some spotted cow.
Okay,
that's what you would break a gluten-free diet for.
Have you had spotted cow?
I've had a lot of gluten and a lot of gluten-free. And if you were breaking a gluten-free diet, it sure as heck is not going to be for a spotted cow.
Oh, buddy. I was over at Pete's house. Real quick story. I was over at Pete's house and we were recording a video, maybe the draft videos or something, and maybe Mahomes Madness. I don't know. But anyways, Pete just had like an array of beers sitting in his fridge, and he's like, "Hey, you want one shirt?" He just pulled out a spotted cow. I was like, "Sweet." I tried it. It was the best thing I've ever had in my life. It was seriously the best beer I've ever had in my life. It is the easiest drink. It is so smooth.
Because you hate good food.
Craig, is Spotted Cow good, beer expert?
Spotted Cow's a good beer, yeah.
Is it the best beer you've ever had, Craig?
No, it's not the best beer I've ever had.
Craig's a snob, though. I can play both sides of this card.
Beer. The best thing you've ingested.
Ever? No.
What?
We're ready to start this podcast yet?
Probably.
One last question. What's better, a bowl of white rice or a spotted cow beer?
Spotted Cow.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay, his priorities.
It's right. Close.
What
there cilantro and lime on that white rice?
One more question before we get into it. Gary Holland asked who we think the starters on the receiving corps are going to be game one.
3 players.
Ooh, game one.
And he asked about backups as well, but I was going to save that for later too.
Okay.
We can hit them both.
Am I going first? Who's going first?
Sure, you go first.
Deep thought right now. Hold on, I want them to focus on Canton deep thought. So if we can push the camera over to him real quick, that'd be fantastic.
I can push it. Hang on.
It's the Lizard King.
Yeah.
It's DeMarcus Robinson.
Yeah.
It's
don't do it.
Gary Dieter.
No, Byron Pringle.
And I'm not excited.
Byron Pringle.
I'm with Matt.
Are Byron Pringle and Patrick LaVon Mahomes best friends?
I don't think they need to be best friends to start.
Yeah.
I was listening to BJ's pod on the way home, and there seemed to be a lot of Gary Dieter love.
Listen, it's Byron Pringle.
It's almost like he's talked a lot about Byron Pringle and wanted to give somebody else some time to shine.
No. Here's the thing. I would pick Byron Pringle. You guys know how I feel about Gary Dieter. I think he's fine.
I feel like you have to hate Byron Pringle too because he's not young.
No, I have looked past that to say, hey, here's a functional, cheap receiver.
Gotcha.
So I like Byron Pringle. I liked Byron Pringle last year.
Yep.
It'll
be Dieter.
Would I prefer he's 23? Yeah, but no, he's 33. And Garrett Dieter, here's the thing. Garrett Dieter's old too. Garrett Dieter and Byron Pringle are basically 30. If you're rounding up, they're 30.
You're rounding up. If you're rounding
Garrett Dieter right now is one of the.
I'm dead.
There's that. Yes. Well, yeah. That's not that much.
We have actually never seen the old Crypt Taker guy and Craig in the same room.
True.
There's on the 90-man roster. Garrett Dieter is one of like the 25 oldest people on that roster, which is insane. And seriously, I looked it up the other day.
No, it's a very young roster.
No, it's a very old second-year player. He's old. So is Byron Pringle.
Oh my
so you're gonna go all excited. He's gonna play through his undrafted free agent contract, and his career is gonna be over.
I'd like to take this moment to say that I was not the only one that did not say Mecole Hardman.
Yeah. Mecole's going to mix in. He's just not week one.
Starter.
Not game one. Game one.
I'm just putting it out there that I was not the only person.
Yeah.
How much time did Chris Conley get in week one? How much time did DeMarcus Robinson didn't get time in week one either? Like
it is hard as a receiver to come in and learn Andy Reid's system immediately. Yes. Sammy Watkins even struggled with it, and he'd been in the league a long time. So,
however, DeMarcus Robinson was what, a 5th-round pick, and Chris
Conley was a
third,
early third.
Mecole Hardman was a trade up second for your first pick in the draft.
I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters either.
They pushed Breeland out there last year.
Not week one.
Not week one, but they pushed him out there as soon as there was.
even Tyreek Hill didn't get a ton of run early. He got a ton of run late and was amazing.
It's true.
It's just the nature of how they operate and how much verbiage and alignment and all that stuff and concepts they have to learn. And run them well, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, I know that whatever is curl flat, but I can't run a curl.
Or flat.
We're just waiting until Laviska Shenault comes up next year and gets the start for the Chiefs.
Is it hot in here?
It's 2 Sammy Watkins on one team.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take 2 Sammy Watkins right now.
2 Sammy Watkins? 3 good feet?
Legitimate. 2 good feet. And I'm not going to tell you which 2 they're on because it's not like Shenault was the epitome of health.
It's true.
No, he's Sammy Watkins.
So how would you feel? Like, if that's what you had for your wide receivers, like, you feel great when they're healthy. But, like, let's say Shenault, again, has another nagging injury this year. Like, how do you feel, like, with Sammy Watkins and Laviska Shenault?
I'm happy that I got him in the second.
Fair enough. At the end of the second. Woo.
Yeah.
Take 64.
Wait, Laviska at 64?
We can't have 64. It's physically
no, that's
impossible.
Right. Sorry, 63. 63.
No. 33. Get it right.
Can we start this podcast? People are waiting for the content, and you're over here.
Are you guys enjoying this, chatters?
Crickets.
Or do we just need to start the show?
Crickets.
I'm waiting for someone to respond.
They're starting a counter to see how many times Kent doesn't say Pat's middle name.
Lavon.
Justin Ross, vitamin D. Vitamin J. You're close. It's Justin Ross, right? That's the receiver from Clemson.
What?
Chirp, chirp, chirp. Okay.
What are you talking about, Justin Ross? Who mentioned?
Don't worry about it. Someone just told us chirp, chirp, chirp. Let's start.
Okay.
We're boring people. Okay. You guys ready to go?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I know how to do this anymore. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us today. My name's Kent Swanson. I'm the lead film and draft analyst for Arrowhead Pride. This is the AP Laboratory, taking you through with a mailbag to start this week's shows off. I am joined, as always, by Craig Stout, and find him on Twitter at Chief in Carolina, Matthew Lane. Matty, what's your favorite color? I'm done asking you how you're doing because you make fun of me. What's your favorite color?
Well, I was going to say blue, but you're wearing a blue shirt yet again. So we're going to have to go with red for the Chiefs. Red actually is my favorite color. So that worked out. We just had to work in the blue shirt comment. And, yeah.
I still catch L's, even before I leave a door open.
Well, instead of catching L's, you should ask our viewers to throw us some 5-star reviews, and we'll catch them instead. Because we very much appreciate them on the iTunes page or whatever podcast platform you're listening on, guys. We really enjoy the 5-star reviews. Put questions in there. We go through them. We'll answer some on the podcast for you guys. And you can find Craig at Barley Hop on Twitter. He's about to go on vacation, so he is about to be Barley gone.
I am going to be Barley gone. I'm going to be Barley much colder than I am in central Kansas. I'm going up north. So I'm going to enjoy normal temperatures and not crazy hot weather anymore.
That Barley gone is one of the worst jokes that's ever been told on this show, and that says a lot coming from me.
No, Kent. It's
not.
Even close. You've had way worse.
Man, I am just like a punching bag.
That's what happens when you leave.
I was so excited to come back and hang out with my buddies, and now I want to go on vacation again. I mean, it's whatever. We got a lot of questions to answer.
The viewers love you. We love you.
Okay. I don't feel it right now, Matthew. I'd just be honest. You're just dunking on me left and right.
You own a lot of blue shirts. It's just a fact.
That I do. We got a lot of questions today. We have several from the Gmail account. apnerdsquad@gmail.com. Craig was so kind as to set that up, and we got some questions we'll answer later from there. We got plenty from Twitter. We're going to answer some from the live stream. We are, as we do every week with the mailbag now, we are live streaming this thing 8:15 every Tuesday. So next time you're wanting to talk some ball, please feel free to jump into that. But let's go ahead and get started with these questions. And this was a cool one. Kay Gumminger asks, what is Ali Trost's biggest lasting impact on Arrowhead Pride, and how will that hole be filled in 2019? So if you don't know, Ali is moving on to 810. We are now bitter rivals with them over at 810. She's moving on to a opportunity that helps her to continue to grow and sharpen her tools in some other places that she really is passionate about, with some potentially, someday becoming a sideline reporter. That's one of her ambitions. We are thrilled for Ali. Ali, there's what's her biggest impact? It's a lot. And I'll start with this, and I'm just going to say this, and we'll just transition all this. Because Craig said something last week that was really cool. The Arrowhead Pride Laboratory it had its best month ever, and it's June. It's June. You guys listen to us in June at a insanely high rate. We are so grateful for that, and it's not just the pod. The site's doing really well too. And I don't say that to pat ourselves on the back, because that's not what I'm trying to say. We're just really grateful for all the stuff and the response to the work that we put in. We have an incredible group, and that's a credit to Pete. Pete has done a really good job of identifying and finding people like Dane, who was our video guy, has moved on, is now producing the franchise, The Chiefs Show.
Small upgrade for him.
Small upgrade. And same for Ali. Ali did a tremendous job, and she's getting new opportunities. And that's what we want. We're all really excited for them. Ali is the first female contributor in the history of Arrowhead Pride. She was insanely qualified for this job. And she did things and added things to this job that weren't expected. So she really was a huge impact. She did she went to Arrowhead and was covering the Chiefs during game day. She was going to all these Chiefs events and going out of her way and going above and beyond to cover these Chiefs events, to get quotes, to write articles. Oh, by the way, she was an editor. Oh, by the way, she was writing articles. She was an on-air talent for video and radio and all this stuff. So what was her impact? A lot, probably. And how do we fill that hole? We don't. So honestly, we say this to Ali, best of luck. We are so thrilled for you. Thank you for your contributions to Arrowhead Pride. And also thank you to everyone that's listening to this, that's read our articles, that's watched our videos. Like, we're kind of overwhelmed by the response to all this stuff. And we're just going to keep working hard. We're all extremely motivated to keep working and building and growing this thing. So thank you all so much for that. All that to be said, let's move on to answer other questions. I just wanted to make sure to thank Ali and also to thank you guys. So, Country Boy 567 asks, what's your best and worst case scenario for this season in terms of record, win, and loss? Don't talk about Patrick Mahomes being injured, but work within the confines of Patrick Mahomes playing 16 games a year.
Just assuming no major injuries, and obviously the Chiefs are going to have some, but you're kind of hoping and expecting an NFL team can get by with one or two, as long as it's not to a quarterback. So just assuming that you're kind of got the baseline normal NFL injury luck going into the season, I think your ceiling's probably about 14 wins, maybe 15. I think there's zero chance Andy Reid would ever try to go for 16-win season, go undefeated. He's definitely giving guys rest at the end of the year, in my opinion. So that not even sure he'd go pedal to the metal to get 15. So I think 14, 15. And then your low end, I see like a 9-10 win team at the absolute worst. If, like I said, if Patrick Mahomes isn't hurt, if you don't have terrible injury luck, and you don't have a Tyreek Hill suspension for the entire year, just the normal stuff, 9-10 wins, and that would be with a ton of close losses and just nothing working out well on defense again.
I could see as a high end 14, I think is about right. I think the low end is 8. I could see the Chiefs. The Chiefs are running up against some good quarterbacks this year, and obviously they ran up against some good ones last year. But the AFC North's tough. I could see that them beating them up on the best case scenario for the AFC North. I could see the cornerback position being a problem. I could see the defense maybe not meshing. That's in a range of outcomes. I think the worst case scenario is 8 games with Patrick Mahomes playing 16. I don't expect it, but I think that's the low end.
I mean, 19 and 0. I know that's hot. I know everything. I've said that several times. Chad Henne can win a game with this offense, Maddie. Chad Henne can win a game.
No, he can't. Here's the thing. If Chad Henne's in the game, do we really think that you're going to get Travis Kelce and Sammy Watkins and everybody else out there? Like how many guys are going to be out if Chad Henne's starting a game?
Imagine the Chad and the John Lovett time. Oh, baby.
Woo. Listen, we had to put Patrick Mahomes back into the game to beat Denver when we tried to play our backups. We don't have a Patrick Mahomes to put back into the game this time.
To be fair, that was Tyler Bray.
Chad Henne.
Yeah.
Okay. I probably 5 times last year I predicted that we would see Chad Henne.
And then we never did.
And I would predict that. I would tweet out, I was like, are we going to see Chad Henne tonight? Nope. Because Andy Reid sitting on the ball at the end of the game, keeping the game relatively close, and yada, yada, yada. That's just a random sidebar. Brandon422 asks, did the way that the Chiefs handled Justin Houston, Dee Ford, and Eric Berry affect the way Chris Jones is handling his contract negotiations?
I know it's a really easy comparison to do just because of how this is all worked out, the Chiefs in negotiations, and then the argument whether or not to pay them now, or if he has another great year, then all of a sudden you're quote unquote overpaying him. That's about as far as it goes. Justin Houston and Eric Berry were completely different situations, completely different GM. I think that everybody's approaching it completely differently. I'm not sure that Dee Ford was ever in the plans. I mean, especially once Steve Spagnuolo came on, he wasn't in the plans at all. So I don't think that his contract negotiations were even a thing. I think Chris Jones is just he's taken minicamp off. He'll be here in training camp. I think we're going to see him. We're going to see what he brings to the table. If he gets on board with this coaching staff, if he plays well within the scheme, I think we'll see a contract extension this year, during the year. I don't think it's going to extend out and be a problem if he's able to do that. If he's not, that's when things get a little dicey. So if he shows up and he's playing well, they're going to extend him midseason. They have the money for it too.
Yeah, and I'm not sure anything about the situation with Houston, Ford, or Berry is related to Chris Jones at all. I don't think that Chris Jones is looking at what the Chiefs did with any of those 3 guys and worried about anything within the organization, or the organization scared to lock up Chris Jones long term. It just happens to be Chris Jones and the Chiefs are at 2 different points right now of the negotiations. They haven't agreed on terms yet. Chris Jones is looking out for himself. The Chiefs are looking out for themselves. They don't have to make a move this offseason. Nothing has to be done right now, and when it does, it will be. So we'll see when Chris Jones comes back, how it progresses from there. But I'm with Craig. If things go well during the season, if he's playing as well as he did last year, everyone's gelling just fine. Chris Jones getting an extension during the season seems very likely to me.
Yeah, I just think that in season, the negotiation would be big figures, very big figures, near Aaron Donald figures.
For sure.
I think, so it'll be interesting. It almost behooves. I wonder if it even behooves Chris Jones to do it midseason. Honestly, I feel like it's kind of stuck in between, 2 situations. He probably couldn't hold out. And the holdout, I don't know. I don't think it benefited him even in the slightest, frankly. But I don't know if he'd be able to really negotiate midseason either. Chiefs O asks, did we see a different, more tamed Travis Kelce last year? Yeah, a little bit. I think Travis Kelce is growing up a little bit. I don't think he's going to be making any memes anytime soon. I think you all know which one I'm talking about. I do think he is starting to grow up a little bit, grow into a more of a leadership role, grow up just in general. I think he's kind of, taken the opportunities in front of him, and he's really developed through them. So I don't think I still wouldn't put it past him to go out and do something silly. Don't get me wrong. I still think it's in him, but I think he's done a pretty good job and is kind of a more controlled player now.
Yeah, and I think he still kind of has the same fire and passion that he's shown earlier in his career. He just was able to channel it a little bit better, and I think he's talked about it. Andy Reid challenged him to be a little bit more of a leader, and you start to look around that locker room, and who else has been there as long as him? Like we were talking about earlier, it's a young team. Kent pointed out that guys that are in their second year are some of the oldest players on the team. So a guy like Travis Kelce is practically a dinosaur for the rest of these guys. He's looked up to by people in there. He's got to be a leader. Somebody else has to do it. They had essentially a rookie quarterback coming into play for him, so he took it upon himself. And I think you're going to see more of that going forward. I see no reason to think that he's going to backslide into the same young Travis Kelce that we saw before.
No, and I think he's still doing it off the field. Like, I don't think it's like hitting it as hard as he used to.
That's never going to change.
Yeah, that's never going to change. He's still, the fun-loving guy off the field. You saw those videos from him at that wedding party that he didn't know a single person at, and he's out there having the time of his life. Like, right. he was having a great time. That's Travis. That's what we love about Travis. That's who he is. That's not going to change. I think it's just a slight bit of restraint. Maybe he's got a filter in his brain now to catch those moments on the field.
And that's all he needs.
Right. Absolutely. And the moment that happens, yep, great. So, yep.
And I'm still here for him throwing flags at referees, making terrible calls.
Right.
I'll accept the penalty all day.
I think he's at a point enough where the NFL is willing to align with him for stuff like what he's doing, though. Like, I think that's kind of what I look at, and I say the NFL trusts him enough to be able to do stuff like that. They're not going out of their way to make someone like Travis Kelce a poster boy if they don't trust him at this point in this stage of his career, is like kind of how I look at it. We had some questions from the Gmail account, apnerdsquad@gmail.com. If you have questions and you don't have Twitter, you want to ask them. If you don't ask them with one of your 5-star reviews on iTunes, feel free to shoot us a line at apnerdsquad@gmail.com. Justin in Wichita asks if you could put Patrick Mahomes, Alex Smith, and Matt Castle in a time machine, and each could take the place of Tom Brady at the beginning of his career and play with Belichick, how many Super Bowl rings would each have today?
Just so that everybody knows, I saw this email and I immediately responded with, "We're going to answer this week." This is a great question, Justin. I'm going to go in reverse order. Matt Castle gets one.
What?
I think they could get one. I think
that's it for this week's show. Something's wrong with Craig. We've got to call the police.
11-5 squad.
And they didn't make the playoffs.
Playoff record.
Doesn't matter. Bill would have found a way. Thomas had some really awful seasons that have resulted in
a way against
good playoff teams, and they found a way. I'm going to give him one. Alex Smith.
Was Randy Moss on that team?
No. Wait, was Randy Moss on that 11-5 team?
No.
I didn't think so.
Okay, never mind.
Alex Smith.
Craig's wrong.
I think he gets two. I think that Bill works well with Alex Smith. I think he could get plenty out of Alex.
Smith, only 50% better than Matt Castle. Heard it here first, guys.
Winning Super Bowls is hard. Patrick Mahomes, let's see. How many years would he have been in the league at this point?
A lot.
20.
Let's call it 19. Okay, 18. 18 of them. He would have gotten hurt one year. So
in 1 year, he would have just tried to play left-handed.
Bernard Pollard would have hit him.
No, they won that one. They won the year that he played left-handed.
The year that Bernard Pollard hit him in the knee. Obviously.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Pat would make him miss. Pat wouldn't have been in the pocket.
Matt Castle's getting a hard 0. Bill Belichick's a great coach, but Matt Castle is a hard 0 from me. Alex Smith.
And Matty's right.
Here's the thing with Alex Smith. his chance to win he would have a chance to win all 3 of the first Super Bowls that Tom Brady won. He'd have a chance. Now, how many of those could he play as well as Tom Brady did down the stretch? How many of those is he going to be able to execute in the fourth quarter like Brady did? Because Brady was definitely managing the game then, which is pretty much what Alex Smith did his entire career. So I'm with Craig there. I can give him 2. I would have probably leaned towards 1, but 2 out of the 3 I could see happening. Patrick Mahomes, I mean, we're pushing double digits easy. We're easily 10, 11. No questions.
Patrick Mahomes was 5 when Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl. I don't think it's working out particularly well. No, Matt Castle is winning 0, and if I could give him less than 0, I would. That dude is not taking them to a Super Bowl. Congratulations on winning 11 games. Actually 10, because I believe the Patriots won the game that the Chiefs played. So, Tom Brady got hurt, but he still started that game. No. Matt Castle winning 0. Alex Smith is winning 1 Super Bowl. He is knocking on the door several times in the AFC Championship game. But at some point, your quarterback has to win you the game. And we really didn't see much of that with Alex Smith in his time in Kansas City. It's just no disrespect to Alex Smith. Thank you for everything you've done for us and for taking Patrick LeVon Mahomes under your wing. Patrick LeVon Mahomes, realistically, he wins 7. He gets there as many, maybe 2 more times than Tom Brady does. Whoops, I said it. Bill Belichick's amazing. This is more of a credit to Bill Belichick because Bill Belichick is incredible. Not Matt Castle winning a Super Bowl incredible because he's not. I mean, he's a miracle worker, but he's not like a multi-miracle worker. But yeah. Anyways, David
playoffs as many times as Tom Brady's won the Super Bowl with Bill Belichick.
No, but he only needs 1.
Yes. Shut up, Craig. Go on vacation. David asks, once Summer of Spags is done, how about a series on special teams? Maybe a time of Tobe. I love it. I hear the term 4-core, kickoff, kick return, punt. But why is it not 6 with field goal and extra point? I'll answer that one because there's not a ton of moving parts to that. Sorry. We'll keep going. I want this question to be answered. What makes Tobe so special?
So there's one part of football that I pay 0 attention to, and that is special team. I have no answer for anybody. I could not even begin to tell you what Tobe does to make the Chiefs special teams consistently good, other than he has a rather large say, I think, in the roster construction. So he gets athletes that he wants, guys that he wants out there on the field. And besides that, I honestly couldn't tell you. I think guys are relatively disciplined in terms of the lanes that they're running in, how they're setting up blocks. But I couldn't even begin to break down a single special teams play and why it works and why it doesn't work, other than Tyreek Hill's really fast.
I think we hear him talk a little bit about his attention to detail. I think maybe that's it. It kind of goes hand in hand with what Matt's talking about with being disciplined in your lanes and everything like that. It doesn't ever seem like people are on different pages. And granted, it's kick returns and punt returns and things like that. But even the more complex things that they try and do, the trick plays that they try and do, stuff like that, everybody seems to be on the same page, doing their job. It just seems like maybe there's he has that attention to detail that we kind of asked the defense to have, and they haven't over the past 5 years. So maybe there's a little bit there.
The upset of the century is Maddie not having a deep catalog of special teams knowledge, and I'm not even joking. The question that the long version of this question had questions about the L1 and the L4 and all this stuff. And I almost left it in there just because I just kind of wanted to see what Maddie knew. So this is kind of surprising that he really doesn't have any knowledge of special teams whatsoever.
I mean, I could have answered some of it. It's just I couldn't tell you what Tobe does good enough to make it special.
Luckily enough for you guys, I was an All-American holder in the NAIA, which is the biggest deal ever. So I have plenty of special teams ability. No.
Is that where the hold in your hair comes from?
Exactly.
All-American.
They saw the hair and they were just like, that stuff stays put. I bet you he can hold a football with the same level of steadiness and consistency.
They saw you turn a corner and they knew they weren't going to have you run a fast 3-cone, so they had to get you a stationary position.
Hey, you gotta get on the field somehow. That was the only way. Honestly, that really the reason I started holding was because I wanted to make the travel team, and so
how many misplaced balls did you have?
0. I was solid as a rock.
How many Tony Romo?
I was 0. 1. Actually, I got creamed on a bad snap. Never throw your snapper under the bus, but he's not listening. So take that.
He's gonna listen now.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry, this really derailed. I think attention to details piece of it. I think his ability to effectively communicate to a lot of different people. I think his understanding of personnel. I think I think all those things have a lot of value. Being able to motivate and communicate are big pieces of this. Attention to detail, all that kind of stuff. So, and I think that's part of the reason that Dave Tope has gotten opportunities to interview for head coaching jobs, because those things translate beyond just special teams. Michael Ward asks, as a former wide receiver, I have a big problem with pass catchers using their bodies to catch. What is your opinion on Tyreek Hill's catching? And do you think he's actually a $70 million wide receiver, especially if and when his speed declines? So, I mean, if the wheels start slowing down a little bit, yeah, his value might diminish a little bit. However, and this is all the on-the-field stuff, Tyreek Hill, I really don't have a ton of problems with his ability to catch the football. I actually think he tracks the ball extremely well. He body catches a little bit. Sometimes a lot of his body catching is done in tight spaces where, it may not behoove him necessarily to try to grab it and pluck it with his hands. He's a small guy still. And he jumps really high. So, sometimes, there's a couple plays I can think about today where I'm okay with him body catching, honestly, because, I think that gives him a better chance to keep the ball away from defenders. Shield them with his body because he's a freak athlete. So I really don't have a ton of issues with Tyreek Hill and his pass catching ability. I think he's actually pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that Tyreek Hill's shown enough ability to, like you said, track the ball, elevate, and meet the ball with his hands when he has to. I do think that he body catches a little bit more than he needs to, but given his level of athleticism, it doesn't really matter. The whole point of reaching out when you don't have to and catching the ball with your hands, not only is it more secure and you're not going to get a double bounce off the body, but it allows you, as you tuck the ball the right way, to start generating momentum upfield. Tyreek Hill doesn't need that to still get the edge on defenders that are closing in on him. He can catch the ball with his body and then just turn like normal rather than using momentum from tucking the ball in. And again, you would like to see him use his hands on a slant pass or on a deep dig or something, but if it's not causing issues, then it's nothing to worry about, in my opinion. And yeah, even when his speed diminishes a little bit, he's still going to be faster than 99% of the league. So I think that right now he is well on his way to being a $70 million wide receiver, as long as a team has no questions of him off the field.
And that $70 million is over 4 years. I think that's still a little bit underpaid for the production that he gets on the field, because that's $17.5 million a year. That's low for Tyreek Hill compared to what some of the major receivers are getting. Now, again, if you bring off field, who knows? That's a whole can of worms. But the on-field play, he's worth more than that. And he does, like these guys talked about, he does go up and get it very well for a small guy. So I don't think it's that big of an issue. I think he is constantly working on routes. I think he's constantly working on his hands. He puts in a lot of time on the little things as a receiver. He's grown so much from where he was when he first came into this league. I think that's why people have hope for a guy like Mecole Hardman, because they watched what Tyreek Hill was able to do. So there's natural comparisons with the speed and ability at that point. So I do think that he can still find a way to be a functional receiver when the speed starts to decline as well.
The speed is still the trump card, though. And
it is.
He's done a lot to develop as a route runner and as a receiver. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how he ages.
Tyreek Hill or Marquise Goodwin next year? Who wins?
Tyreek.
Okay. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break. And we'll be back right after this. Sorry for
All right, guys. We got a couple questions from people.
Yeah, we do. I did not play at Washburn Vitamin J. I played at Mid-American Naz.
Brandon P. Break time question. McKenzie play during the regular season?
Why don't you just wait till segment 2?
Okay. I won't have to answer.
Oh, is it in segment 2? Wow. Guys.
Why don't you read segment 2, Matthew?
Little peek behind the curtain here. I may not have gotten that far yet.
Little peek behind the curtain.
Wow.
Maddie reads the questions as we get to them.
That's going to be very interesting. Actually, one of the questions, never mind. One of the questions, I'll just say it. One of the questions on here, I had you go first specifically because I know you don't look at the questions, and I think it'd be a really interesting case study. So
this is going to be a problem.
Gotcha.
Me?
It's going to be awesome.
Oh, boy. Oh, that's okay.
Matt is Craig's son. Yes. Matt is
true.
Craig's son. Yes.
It happens. I guess this would be a time where my dad, who listens and sometimes watches, I should probably say I am not, in fact, Craig's son. However.
Hi, Matt's dad. Son.
However.
Are you as long-winded as your son?
Says the guy who gave a 10-minute monologue to start that first segment.
I know.
You know what? I was a very nice
man.
Oh yeah, he's
that's right.
probably
we can't even
awesome.
play this off because I did forget that Craig and my dad have in fact met, so that doesn't work. My dad is about 8 inches shorter than Craig.
That's not it. I mean, he's still 6'2". Like, that's nothing to turn a nose at, you know.
Did we have any other good questions in here?
Is James Winchester underrated as a long snapper?
No.
Can you underrate a long snapper?
Can you rate a long snapper?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so here's like a thing. Why in the NFL can you not get a third string tight end to long snap the ball consistently on a regular basis? Like, I don't understand why a long snapper is such a dedicated position. It blows my mind that a team has not like actively gone out to seek a way to save a roster spot and just get a guy that's functional as a blocker that can be your long snapper as a third tight end. I don't get it.
Can Taysom Hill long snap?
The Patriots literally drafted a long snapper this year.
I don't get it. Like, and I understand that there's consistency to it, but like you go and watch training camp, like the long snapper's out there for a while. He's your third string tight end. He can go spend half of his time long snapping and stay an extra hour in long snap. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't understand.
Especially with the rules protecting them so much. I mean, there's so much stuff that they can't be leapt over. People can't make contact with them. Go, Kent.
I just remembered something.
Okay.
I read an article a couple years ago, and it came back, and it is basically talking about how NFL teams' biggest nightmare is their long snapper being injured. That is their biggest nightmare. So if you're going to put your long snapper in harm's way, your tight end 3 gets hurt. You're screwed. People are terrified of that.
But he's your tight end 3. How much is he playing?
Special teams.
As the long snapper only, because he's the long snapper, kid.
No, he's probably doing kickoff team.
That's fine.
No, but you're not going to do that because he's your long snapper. He's still your tight end 3, but he's also your long snapper.
Yeah, you can take him off special teams if you're that. I don't know.
So why do you have a tight end 3 then?
To be the long snapper and the tight end 3. Travis Kelce gets hurt. You now have a tight end 3 out there that's also James Winchester. Like, why not?
So you're one tight end injury away from running the risk of your long snapper being hurt.
Yeah, and you're one injury away from having no quarterback.
It's true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All
right, so what do I think of Justin Ross? He would be my wide receiver 1 if he could come out this year. Yes,
I agree. Thanks for wanting my opinion on that, Vitamin J.
Do we think that Andy Reid could play snaps at fullback?
No. Not even close. Andy Reid can't get in a 3-point stance. Andy Reid has no ankles. It's all calf.
He could get some
all calf.
Andy Reid would score from the 1.
After our top 3
CBs, you guys... Andy Reid.
Stop.
No.
We're moving on. After this is not the Andy Reid podcast. You guys already did that. You didn't slander Andy's calves then. You can't do it now. After the top 3 CBs, who do you guys think are the other cornerbacks that makes the team?
Mark Fields, Keith Reeser, Prashad Fenton, and that's it.
Cosign.
Oh, you're no longer.
I'm not excited.
No longer on the to be determined cornerback bandwagon, huh, Craig?
No, not right now.
Okay.
I mean, I'll see, but right now with the current roster, that's it.
I think that's right too. I don't think there's anybody else even really in contention to me. I know some
earmuffs on Bearcat.
I know some people love Trevon Smith, Bearcat. And,
I just don't. My man, they drafted over him twice.
Yeah, like he's a walking redundancy. Yeah. And like I don't.
I'll tell you what, if he shows up and he's playing well as a cornerback, he has every chance to make this team because that position is weak as hell.
He has to play a lot better than he did last year.
Correct.
And like, I know he had a couple plays, and I know for some reason PFF made him the all-world punt returner or something, but like, I don't look at him as a dynamic returner.
He's fast.
I look at him as
very fast.
He got what was there. And sometimes what was there was a touchdown.
He was fast and drafted in the 6th round, not the 2nd. Straight.
Oh, that jar.
Jar.
I was already doing it. Don't you worry.
I just would love. You know what? Fine. New rule. It's still going to get jarred.
Can we do the next segment?
A live chat is in play, but do not slander Mikkel on the pod, please.
Well,
but you're still getting jarred. You're still getting jarred in the off time.
1, I haven't seen the question, so I can make no promises. 2,
no.
We already slandered him on the podcast and we left him off the. Oh no, that question was before on the live thing, so we're good.
And it's not slander. It's our opinion. There's a difference.
This is my opinion too.
No, your opinion has piss and vinegar behind it. Here we go.
All right.
3, 2, 1. Mr. C. David asks, what is your favorite movie of all time?
This is a tough question for a guy that does not read the questions beforehand. There are so many movies available in the world. I think Saving Private Ryan is probably one of my favorite. I think it's a safe one. It's definitely in the top 5, but to say it's a clear-cut number, any movie, the clear-cut number 1's hard, but I love Saving Private Ryan, so that can be number 1 for right now.
I think we got a similar-ish question, and I said this is Spinal Tap last time, and you guys made fun of me for picking something old. So I'll pick something newer. I love Wet Hot American Summer. That is... I could seriously sit and watch that movie on a loop, and I would still laugh my ass off every single time. Love that movie.
Day by day. That's a good movie. And I'm going to I think it's a relatively obscure one, and there's kind of it's probably a little bit more sentiment and stuff behind it, but I seriously think it's probably one of the funniest movies in the history of American cinema, and I can quote it cover to cover. The Three Amigos with Chevy Chase, Martin Short, and Steve Martin. That is I know Anchorman's out there. That might be the best group of comedians to do a movie ever.
I can't believe you guys slandered me for the age of This is Spinal Tap the last time we did this, and you bust out the Three Amigos, which is older than Spinal Tap.
Listen,
no, it's not. Spinal Tap was the early 80s or late 70s.
I'm over here just wondering how you guys watch movies from the 80s and the 70s without wanting to gouge your eyes out watching graphics on PlayStation.
First off, these movies are digitally remastered. Thank you very much.
They look awful.
You look awful.
Thank you.
President Zavi asks, or Javi, I don't know. I hope I didn't screw up that name. I probably did because I screw up a lot of names, Keith. What's the maximum amount of games Mahomes could miss and the Chiefs still be on track for a Super Bowl?
I'm going to say 5 if it's in the middle of the season. If it's at the end, none. They need him for that push. He can't miss playoff games and expect for this team to survive and continue on to the playoffs. But I'm going to say if he missed 5 in the middle of the season, I'm not sure they win any of them, but I think that's about the maximum that they could let slide without Mahomes and still make the playoffs and then have Mahomes be able to take them that extra little bit.
Yeah, I think it kind of is schedule dependent because I'm with Craig there. I don't know how many games without Patrick Mahomes they're going to win. So if you say they only win 1 out of those 5 games, that already puts your cap at 12 wins. And if you don't assume just off the top of your head that you're going to win every game with Mahomes, that's a lot of pressure to make the playoffs in an AFC that is getting a little bit better. But I think 5 is about the right limit. I'm going to go with 3 just because I think you got to make the playoffs, and that's going to be the harder part.
Yeah, it does kind of depend on when it happens. I think like 4, 5. Basically, I think what happens is it's inhibiting your ability to make the playoffs. Is really if however many games that is, it could be 5. I think 5. You're probably going 1-4 regardless of when the schedule hits. If Chad Henne's your quarterback, and that's no shame on Andy Reid. That's just a tall task. You're not signing Chad Henne for him to play. You're signing him to help him, prepare Patrick Mahomes week to week. So, Rise of Mahomes asks thoughts and opinions about the possibility of the Chiefs moving on from Cameron Irving and Andrew Wiley after this year if the young group of guys like Khalil McKenzie and Nick Allegretti progress. So here's the thing. If Khalil McKenzie and Nick Allegretti grow and progress, I think that actually possibly could speak more to or it could put a guy like Laurent Duvernay-Tardif at risk more than it could put Cameron Irving and Andrew Wiley. LDT's had some injury history. He had an okay season. He had a fine season last year when he was playing. I don't think he was anything to write home about. He certainly hasn't played like the guy that was signed to a top 3 guard contract when he signed it. So if guys like Allegretti and Khalil McKenzie wind up, having some success and looking okay, look for Andy or Brett Veach to get rid of another John Dorsey guy because that's kind of seemed to be the trend. He's not really kept a lot of Dorsey guys around, and he's not really tried to extend any of those guys either. So maybe that's one of the contracts he tries to get rid of, saves $5 million or $7 million with the post-G1.
And I think that Allegretti's the guy based between those two that has the best shot at taking one of those spots. I seem to speak higher of him than we've heard about Khalil McKenzie. I'm sure Matt has takes on Khalil McKenzie. If you listen to last week's podcast, you can hear some of them, and he might have some more here. But I'm not so certain that Cameron Irving's on this team if they can find a team that needs some offensive line help. I know I've said it a couple times. He's trade bait for me. Like he does not have a lockdown starting spot at this point. I would dangle him out there after a couple preseason games if he looks okay and that they like where Khalil McKenzie and Nick Allegretti are in the process. I would be on the phone with people offering Cam Irving for maybe a cornerback that's a backup for another team that could make an impact on this team. So I think that they could push for one of those spots between those two maybe as soon as this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would even consider getting rid of Andrew Wiley at this point in time. It's not like he's expensive. It's not like he's really old or anything like that. So if you get Khalil McKenzie or Allegretti to kind of progress this offseason, that's great. But I think Andrew Wiley still is. I mean, maybe if he has a stark downturn in his performance from last year, like he full 180 in terms of progression, then you consider it. But at this point in time, I'm probably more excited for him than anybody else in the interior offensive line. So I think he's only trending up. I'm with Craig. Cam Irving's a guy that I'm trying to trade. I don't think you have a huge need for him right now unless you're using him as a swing tackle. Now, you don't save any money, so you're only trading him if you're getting something back. And then as far as Khalil McKenzie progressing, if what we saw in the franchise was his progression, my man's got the whole first contract to progress before he's even competing for playing time. I mean, and I get it. We talked about it last week. It was a small window into what he's doing, but his slide, just the slides, just did look like a guy learning how to slide that hadn't played offensive line in 3-4 years. Like, that's what he looked like, and that was after a year in the NFL and now working with Will Shields. So I'm not sure he's a huge threat, and that's kind of going back to a question we had on the live stream. If you see Khalil McKenzie this year, it's going to be in garbage time of a throwaway game, likely because of an injury to somebody else, in my opinion.
I don't think you're far off, Maddie, frankly. And Rise of Mahomes has another question for you. It's hashtag, do you lift, bro?
Occasionally. From time to time, I venture into the local gymnasium that houses the weights.
Probably asked because he's seen you rock so many tanks on this live stream. So.
Boy, you missed it last week. Craig got the full-on, not even tank top, just shirtless version.
I did. The second pod of the week
was lazy to put on a shirt.
God, I'm so glad I was not here.
So here, after the live stream, I got you, Kent. This is a family stream, so we'll wait till after the stream ends. But
I barely took my shirt off at the beach. Okay. Nate Christensen asks expectations for Prashad Breeland in 2019.
To not suck. I don't really have high expectations. I would say to like match, I guess, Steven Nelson's level of performance, but of last year, which doesn't seem like it's particularly high praise. But I think the issue is Prashad Breeland has had plenty of seasons where he hasn't played up to what Steven Nelson did last year. So it's kind of, we're walking a fine line of, are you going to get a good Prashad Breeland season or a not good one? So just kind of think, if he can give you Steven Nelson-esque performance at this significantly cheaper pay than what Steven Nelson got, then you have to be happy from a team perspective.
Yeah, and he's going to be in his own scheme. Like that will help him. I think he's been more at his best in a zone scheme. So I would say above average for the league, which I think maybe you can make the argument that Steven Nelson was slightly above average for the league last year. But I think that if he's above average and Kendall Fuller is much above average, then you're talking about a cornerback group with an average or above average Charvarius Ward that is functional. Not great, but functional.
I'll just say this. If you get above average Prashad Breeland for $2 million, that's exceptional value by Brett Veach and should be listed among his accolades. Maddie, don't say anything. I kind of think I expect an average season from Prashad Breeland. A couple of things that may make you a little bit optimistic. Craig said it. He does thrive if he's playing in his own scheme, but also he had his best year with Kendall Fuller on the field with him, and he got his contract, and it's just Kendall Fuller, obviously, but both those guys have familiarity with each other. I think it might have been Fuller talking about how I don't remember who it was, but someone was talking about the familiarity of getting used to how guys play things and stuff like that, and getting that comfortability with these guys. Fuller and Breeland already have that, so that could come into play, and maybe that helps elevate both of them. Who knows? But I think he's just going to have it. He's not going to be a jag, but he's going to be like an average guy.
One loss concern is I do think that Pro Football Focus has his best seasons or grades kind of coming from the slot, whereas obviously Kendall Fuller is going to play too. I do think the years that he was predominantly outside created out as more of his below average years. So I'm not sure, maybe his last year there with Kendall Fuller balanced it back out a little bit, but I do know at one point in time there was a pretty stark difference in his grades for them from playing in the slot versus outside.
Yeah, that year with Kendall Fuller, his last year with Kendall Fuller is what wound up getting him paid. So I don't know if it was – I don't really know where he lined up all that much with that year. One Lost Wizard asks, Brendan Daly is the run game coordinator. Can you explain what that entails?
Coordinating the run game. No, I think what it means is that Brendan Daly is going to be responsible for run fits in the various formations, kind of making sure that everybody's doing their job, plugging their gap correctly, orchestrating the run game from week to week, finding out what the offense's tendencies are through the scouting department, and applying the game plan from a week-to-week basis in order to defend the run. I know that they've talked about how Steve Spagnuolo is a defensive back guy, that he's put a lot of time in on the defensive backs, especially in this squad. I think maybe that's because they're allowing Brendan Daly to have a little more autonomy in the run game this year. So we'll see how that progresses throughout the year, but that's how I take it to me.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is what's going to happen is Brendan Daly's going to kind of be in charge of scouting out in advance of the upcoming opponent, what their tendencies are when they're running the ball, how the Chiefs are going to defend it. He's going to put in specific plays or checks for that week. He's going to go over the coaching on how to defend the upcoming run game. Like, he'll obviously go over the basics too, the bones of what the Chiefs' run defense is going to be. But his biggest thing is going to be changing it from a week-to-week basis. Think back to the Rams versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl, how essentially the Patriots shut down the Rams' outside zone attack by flipping their defensive tackles to the opposite side, depending on which hash mark the Rams are on. That was something the Patriots saw on the field. Brendan Daly was probably involved. They saw this on the field somewhere. They're like, hey, we can help defend this outside zone attack if we put the 3-tech on the backside when it's the wide side, and then we flip it if it's the near side. Just little stuff like that, and it's adjustments you make from a week-to-week basis. It's just essentially a way to share responsibility from a guy that they're very high on, and it kind of denotes a guy that's going to be next in line, so to speak, at least historically, a guy that's going to be next in line for the defensive coordinator job.
And, sometimes titles, it benefits them, when how they're transitioning from one staff to another. Like, I think Brendan Daly's contract was up after this year, correct? Or after last year, correct?
I believe that's the case, yes.
If not, though, let's just say it wasn't. Adding something like run game coordinator to his title can help you contractually with lateral moves. You can add responsibilities. You can add assistant head coach titles and stuff like that. And some of those things can help you jump to a different team with basically the same responsibilities. Okay, we got some over-unders here from Arrowhead Scott. We'll start with this one, and we'll go down the line. Khalil McKenzie starts set at 1.5. Give me the under.
Yeah, this is a hard under, just like Matt Castle's Super Bowl appearances.
Under. Less than Matt Castle's one Super Bowl appearance with Bill Belichick.
Woo! John Lovett total touchdowns set at 1.5. I'm taking the under, but I think he makes the team.
Makes it. I'm going to go under. I would go under 1.5 games played, to be honest.
Wow.
Under.
Okay. I could see John Lovett being a 4-core special team guy. I could.
Maybe, yeah.
Anthony Hitchens, 99.5 tackles. Give me the over.
Oh, boy, that's a tough one. Yeah, I'll take the over. He'll be on the field a lot. I think he'll be in position to make a lot more tackles.
He was there last year, over. This scheme is going to be better for him. He's going to get to play a little more downhill. He's going to get to play a little more free. Over, definitely.
Plus, if there's just a big pile, Anthony Hitchens is going to get the tackle. Like, if they're just going to
that's true.
He's going to get
tackle, baby.
He's going to get that bump. Kalen Saunders.
No.
2.5. Colin Saunders. 2.5 sacks. Give me a push.
Under. I don't think that he's ready right now to be a force as a pass rusher, and he has the energy and the ability to have some cleanup sacks, but I think as a rotational guy, 2.5. I'm going to go under.
2.5's a lot for a rotational guy. I'm going to go over, but I think it's 3.
Patrick LaVon Mahomes MVP awards, I'm assuming for next year, set at 0.5. And I'm going to say under because I think the NFL is just dumb like that sometimes. So it's not going to be, he's just going to have to blow everyone out of the water. And he still could, but statistically, it may not be 50 and 5K. He's going to play exceptionally well, and he'll be in the conversation, but I could see the NFL doing NFL things and not giving it to him.
Well, see, here's my thing is if last year played out identical again this year, I 100% think it's going to Drew Brees as a Lifetime Achievement Award. So essentially, Patrick Mahomes has to either be better than last year or no vet can be anywhere, even in the stratosphere, not like Drew Brees was, but in the stratosphere is him. And that's just a lot of ifs. I think NFL voters kind of get bored. I don't think if Patrick Mahomes doesn't top last year statistically and someone's just even close to his performance, they're going to give it to the other guy. So I'm going to go under, unfortunately, even though I think he'll play better.
I think that we're not quite too tired of Patrick Mahomes yet. And so I think he'll get – well, we are never going to be. But as far as NFL voters go, I think that we're not quite there yet. I think he's got another one. I think they might give it to him back-to-back if he has another season like he did this last season. But then after that, I think we'll start seeing the situation, like LeBron James in the NBA, where it's like, well, yeah, we're giving it to this guy, but we all knew. So, yeah.
Techno Brad asks, which first-round player or trade over the last 25 years would you most like to take back, and who would you take instead? I'm assuming this is the Chiefs.
Well, you're going to go first on this, even though you slapped me first, because I have to figure out who I'm taking instead, but I know who I'm not taking. I'm not taking Tyson Jackson, so you guys can back off the 2009 NFL draft, okay?
See, I knew he was going to do that. I'm going to have to fight for my man.
Excuse me? Wait a second. Sidebar. We're going to have somebody pining for the pick of Tyson Jackson?
No, he just received a lot of undue slander. That's all.
It was very due. Very, very, very due.
It is not his fault that he got drafted number 3. It's not his fault that the Chiefs reached for him.
Here's the issue. I would have taken Aaron Curry that year because as a linebacker, I saw no flaws.
Me too.
I was young. I saw 0 flaws in his game, and I still can't think of him off the top of my head, and he ended up being terrible. So, who would I take instead? No, I'm ready now. I'm here. Clay Matthews instead. Done. Moving on.
Of Tyson Jackson?
Yeah, easy choice.
Cool. Congrats. Good for you.
Is it me? It's me.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. I'm going to the 2008 NFL draft. I am not taking Glenn Dorsey, even though he was a slam dunk easy pick, because in that draft, I'm going to go ahead and take Aqib Talib instead and lock down a Chiefs corner position for a very, very long time.
Glenn Dorsey was so much better than Tyson Jackson.
I didn't dispute that. I just said that I would like to have Aqib Talib.
And real quick, we're going to ask if you've got any questions on the live chat. We'll try to take a couple before we get out of here. So get them in now because we're about done with the questions here. My answer is John Baldwin. Bye.
That was a rough
one. You're taking John Baldwin? You're just making that pick over again?
I'm saying goodbye.
Oh, okay.
John Baldwin. And Jimmy Smith, one pick later. Sure, let's just take him because I'm too lazy to look at the rest of the NFL draft class that year. But Jimmy Smith, he's had some productive years. I don't know if he would have made a video of himself running at 3 a.m. But he had a better career.
Video though.
No, you weren't. Everyone pretends like they were hyped about it, but in the back of their mind, they're like, "There's something off with this dude." If this dude's got to try so hard to make people think that he's trying at his job, what he's getting paid millions of dollars to,
doesn't JJ Watt do that on a daily basis?
But JJ Watt's actually good.
John Baldwin was very good in college. Very, very good.
Was he though?
Yeah. You can dispute it too much.
Jalen Strong had a.
There was a lot of faith placed in Todd Haley turning Jonathan Baldwin into a very productive receiver based on his work with Larry Fitzgerald.
Like Larry Fitzgerald, yeah.
Do you guys remember that catch that didn't count?
Yes, the one where he caught it behind the dude. Yes, caught it on his back.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay, couple questions here. I'm taking Craig's job, I guess, because I have it up.
Oh,
Vitamin J asks, does Jamal Custis have Julio Jones, AJ Green potential, or is there a better comp for him? No, he does not have Julio
Kelvin
Jones.
Benjamin is the better comp for him.
Who?
Kelvin Benjamin is the better comp for him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Jamal Custis, big body guy. He's never really going to create a ton of separation. Has some really impressive hands. He has some really impressive high moments in catching the football. I don't even know if he has great hands.
Talk about a body
he's kind of John Baldwin.
Lankier. I'm trying to think of a really tall, big wide receiver that can only run 9 routes as a comp. Like, that's where I'm kind of coming down on it. And so I'm thinking, like, early Kelvin Benjamin is, like, with the Panthers. That's kind of, he just kind of, like, ran into space vertically, and they just threw the ball up to him.
I can see it. Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, I really like this question, and this might be the one we close on because I could see Maddie going a long way with this. And we're going to let you start, Maddie. Herb Spices asks, the biggest strength and weakness of the front office.
Okay. The biggest strength is Brett Veach is going to go out and get what he wants. Brett Veach sees what he wants. He's going to go get it. I like that in the front office. He's not afraid to spend. He's not afraid to be bold. I think he's not scared of the job whatsoever. So I think that is the biggest strength that the front office has right now. The biggest weakness right now is overdrafting very specific traits without really knowing how you're going to use it. You got it with Breeland Speaks last year. You're on the fringe of getting it, I think, this year with Mecole Hardman. You drafted back-to-back specific traits in the second round with your first pick, both with trade-ups, and they're guys that have to be used in specific ways, but I'm not sure they know exactly how they're going to use them or if that's the move you make at your first pick in the draft in the second round.
Gregory?
Oh, man, this is tough. I think I agree with the strength there, but I'm going to say just based off of this year, I know we haven't seen him on the field yet, but the coaching staff that they put together, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, the offensive side of the ball is doing a great job too. Don't get me wrong, but they've been doing that great job for a little while. The defensive coaching staff that they built here, so their ability to recruit and get coaches that want to play with Andy Reid, want to play with Patrick LaVon Mahomes, I think that's a real strength for this team. And yeah, weakness is, I think, man, they ignore the corner position. I severely dislike the way that they've handled the cornerback position to this point under Brett Veach. This is 2 years in a row where they're really kind of trying to bank on some guys to play above their normal level. Like they're hoping that the coaching staff gets the absolute most out of them instead of trying to go out and get good corners and try and have them play well above to an elite status. They're trying to get average corners or maybe slightly above average corners that then go above and beyond that spot. So I would have put the assets a little bit differently than they have in the quarterback position so far.
Okay, I've got some different answers, I think, with this. So the biggest strength to me is they've done an excellent job of building a 90-man roster and giving themselves a large swath of players that have some level of potential to make the bottom of this roster. So they've done a really good job of building and building depth on this football team. I think this is some of the best depth. I don't think John Dorsey did a great job of building depth on his teams in the past. I think Brett Veach has done a great job finding guys like Andrew Wiley, pulling, a guy like Cam Irving off the scrap heap, trading for Charvarius Ward for Parker Ehringer, trading Eric Murray for Emmanuel Ogbah, trading for Jordan Lucas. Really good little moves that help build depth on the roster. I think he's done a really good job. My weakness, just to be different, but I agree with some of the things that these guys have said, trading up with their first pick and not taking a swing. with those picks. I don't think, and maybe Mekol's a little bit of a swing. I don't look at Mekol as a big upside player, honestly, and maybe that's just my perception of him. But like Breeland speaks, he was kind of a safe pick. The people that liked him were, this is a 2-contract player. He's going to come in with his lunch pail and he's going to work hard. Kind of like the same way.
He's literally coming in with his lunch pail this season, by the way.
Well, his lunch pail's empty, clearly.
But like, I don't see like an athletic profile that was enticing. I didn't see, a raw prospect that was going to pay off big. Like Chris Jones was a swing. Mm-hmm. Chris Jones was a big swing. Now, granted, it was at 37, but there was swings to take at 54 or at 46. Sorry, 54 was where Jesse Bates was taken. Maybe that's my biggest. Their biggest weakness is not taking Jesse Bates and not liking Jesse Bates enough. And then with Mekol,
by the way, when you're done,
and with Mekol, like the swing, like I don't know if it was a swing. I think it was a linear, fast wide receiver. Like I don't see like. I don't know what his range of outcomes. His range of outcomes isn't Tyreek Hill. But you traded pick 167, which could have been used to maybe trade up later for a cornerback, maybe trade up for Justin Lane instead of taking Colin Saunders at 84. Like, I don't know. I don't look at those two players and say, big swings and aggressive trade ups for those guys. Like those guys feel like niche roles.
Yeah, and I don't disagree there. I think they might see Mecole Hardman as a little bit bigger of a swing than we do, but I'm with you. I think there was higher upside players to be had. Another weakness DK. I have, and this is definitely DK Metcalf. And I also saw a DK Metcalf comp to John Baldwin. Absolutely not. DK Metcalf can run. John Baldwin. He's
athletic.
So, biggest weakness, and this might be short term. I hope it's short term. I think the front office right now is doing a dance on saving for the future and trying to compete now. I don't think they've decided that they're going to be a Super Bowl contender this year, but I don't think they've given up or decided they're going to try to compete in 3 to 4 years from now. They're doing this weird thing where they're trying to save some money to roll the next year, which is always silly. No team competing for a Super Bowl does it. Now, they're starting to get rid of some of that money with these extensions, and extending Chris Jones likely drops them, but no team that went into the year as a top 3 Vegas odds Super Bowl winner has carried over as much cash as the Chiefs are about to. Really, the only teams you can look at to be that team are the Indianapolis Colts going into next year right now. And that's simply because everybody on their roster is due for a contract in the next 2 to 3 years. That's the only reason. Chiefs are similar, but they have money to spend. They just didn't spend. I know they wanted to with Earl Thomas. It just didn't happen. But they don't feel like they've gone all in for this year. And I don't feel like they're saving up enough money and positioning themselves to do it in 3 years from now. So it's just this weird dance where they're playing the middle ground, which I think is always a dangerous move if you're an NFL GM.
I'll just play devil's advocate, but I do think it too. I don't totally agree. I know we've been back and forth on this thing like forever, but I think they were going to pay Tyreek Hill. I think they might have wanted to pay Chris Jones and Earl Thomas. You said Earl Thomas yourself. I think there was money earmarked for certain things that just blew up in flames, with the holdout and the Tyreek Hill situation, and then Earl Thomas agreeing to a deal and then signing a mega deal with Baltimore. So, but there's plenty to be positive and criticize about this staff. One last question real quick, and I'll just answer it. Chris Albright asked, what days are you guys going to be at training camp? I'm going to be there the first weekend, and I won't be there the second weekend. It kind of sucks that how the training camp is set up. There's really only 2 weekends at St. Joe. Craig, when are you going to be there?
I think like August 2nd, 3rd-ish. Still working that out.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Maddie, you're not
likely
right?
Not going to make it there. If I do, it'll be very much for just like kind of a day. So I will have to let people know if I end up making it down there.
I have a bachelor party on the second weekend of training camp, or else I would be there. But so it's kind of the setup this year isn't really convenient for us kind of guys, but I wish I could be there more. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the AP Laboratory, the mailbag edition. We will be back on Friday with a second episode. Catch you later.
John James in the chat. Would you feel better about the corners if they had signed Verrett or Darby? Yes. A lot better.
Yeah, if they had signed Darby, I feel like you would be really optimistic.
I would feel I feel a little bit better about Darby. I think that you're seeing that he might not be ready as quickly as we were hoping, but you still would be bringing in somebody. They'd be showing initiative, and he is talented. Verrett, no. I like Verrett's talent as a player. I just have zero faith he's going to play more than one.
He's class. Yeah, he is class.
He's played like 5 games in his career.
He's 100% a flyer. There's not really a risk at his price tag. It's just the upside, I think, is so muddied by how often he's injured that it's not really there.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Albright. Oh, go, Craig.
I'm taking it back over. I'm claiming it back. We're not on the pod anymore.
Good.
Do you feel like Jones is feeling the shade because they brought in and paid Clark from the outside instead of taking care of him as an in-house guy?
Didn't Therese allude to that?
A little bit. He alluded to the fact that Chris felt that way. Yeah.
And honestly,
I mean, he should.
No, I don't think he should. I don't. I think
if you're looking at it from Chris Jones's standpoint, he had an excellent year last year. He wants to get paid. I think that's it from that standpoint. And I agree with the team standpoint as well, like what you're going to bring up. But I think
I don't know. If you're expecting Frank Clark money, like I think Chris Jones should be expecting Fletcher Cox money.
Right.
Which is a step below what Frank Clark is getting.
Well, but that's fine. He's still getting paid. Like he still wants to get big pay.
But I think he wants more than Fletcher Cox. I think he wants Frank Clark money. I don't think he's going to get Frank Clark money. Frankly.
Except when he comes back as a defensive end this year.
Yeah, he might.
Baby.
I mean, he is slender.
We didn't talk about that on the podcast. We were going to talk about that on the podcast.
Yeah.
We can talk about it on Friday.
My thoughts have been out here on this. I think, whether Chris Jones feels this way or not, it's kind of irrelevant. Like, can he? Yes, I understand from his point why he would, but you have to also understand the team side is that Chris Jones had one good year, kind of doing his own things for a lot of it that led to success. Whether or not we agree, Frank Clark, at least you can watch the tape. He played in a structure. He played within the defensive scheme. It's right there. It's a lot more evident than Chris Jones doing so. The team could easily feel more comfortable paying him to fulfill their role that they have in mind than Chris Jones. Despite being in-house or not, it doesn't matter. It's a new defensive staff. It's not like Brendan Daly or Spagnuolo's worked with Chris Jones either. It's not like they have the ability to talk to him on a daily basis or have seen him practice over and over again. They're still all outsiders to this coaching staff. They watch the tape.
And it's something that Mitch Holthus talked about on his podcast a little bit. A lot of times when these defensive coordinators come in, they try and bring in their guys to, know the scheme or do, be able to run the thing. We thought that they were going to go hard at Landon Collins when Steve Spagnuolo was there because of that very same reason. Landon Collins knows the scheme. He's going to be able to go in. We even alluded to Janoris Jenkins a little bit. Mitch brought up, they didn't do that at all. Like, there's none of the players that they brought in. Like, this is fresh for literally everyone. I don't think that there's any favorites that are being played. I don't think anybody has necessarily an inside line towards anything. They simply went out and said, okay, we need these guys and we're going to run this scheme. And I don't care if they haven't played with us before. We're just going to lay forth this scheme and they better get here and they better play within it. So It's not trying to give guys that maybe know the scheme or know what they're doing within the scheme a little bit more of an inside track. I just think that they went out and got the best guys that they thought that they could get.
Yeah. The Chris Jones thing, I'm super interested in it. I'm super, like we were talking, like he looks real slim down. How
he looks great, just small. Yeah.
How he fits in with this scheme. He's in for a rude awakening. I'm just telling you, Andy Reid's son is not running the room anymore. I keep saying this. It matters. He's not in Brendan Daly is going to run that room. Brendan Daly is in charge of that room.
He's an alpha.
Chris Jones is not in charge of that room.
Yeah.
See how that plays out. Oh, I forgot. I think I forgot the last question on the podcast. I just realized.
Hit it now and we'll sign off.
Keith McLean asks, when will Kent figure out how to properly pronounce McLean?
Never.
I'm 5 for 5 now. I'm on a win streak here. I think the new game will be to incorrectly pronounce it moving forward. I'm going to call him McAleon next week.
Oh, my God. I love that. Oh.
Keith, if you're still watching, listening, I'm coming for you, buddy.
By the way, what Kent said up top still plays true. We love you guys. We love all of you guys so very much. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for interacting, giving us questions, everything like that. You guys are the fuel that makes this go. We very much appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in this week. We will catch you at 8:15 p.m. Central next week on the live stream again. Bye.
Aunt Swinson's a